FC Barcelona set up in a 4-3-3 and Real Madrid set up in a 4-4-2 diamond. We got Joao Cancelo here, Cabarsi, Ronald Araujo, and Jules Koundé as the fullback, De Jong, Christensen, Gundogan, Robert Lewandowski, Rafinha, Lamine Yamal. For Real Madrid, it was Lunin in goal. The right back was Lucas Vasquez, Tchouaméni, Rudiger, and the left back was Camavinga. Fede Valverde started at the base of the midfield. Luka Modric, Toni Kroos. At the top was Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., and Rodrigo. So at the start of the game, Barcelona tried to press Real Madrid high up the pitch with Lewandowski pressing in between the goalkeeper and Fede Valverde, trying to block this passing lane with Rafinha in between the fullback Vasquez and Tchouaméni. Lamine Yamal pressing up high, pressing Camavinga. You got Gundogan inside and Frenkie de Jong up high as well in the Barca high line way up to the midfield. Eventually, as the first half went on, Barcelona had a defensive orientation. They settled into this 4-4-2 sort of a mid to low block. In Real Madrid, they had plenty of space to build up. The Barca defensive orientation in the first half was somewhat deliberate. It's not that Madrid were pressing them high or anything, but Xavi decided that Barcelona want to try to play in the space behind the lines and protect the runs from Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Jude Bellingham. Therefore, this back line of 4 and 4 was very compact, which sometimes didn't remain that compact, as you know, these guys, when they drop back, there used to be plenty of space over here for these guys. But you know, the basic idea was to have a very compact back line of 4 and 4. So when Madrid built up, Barcelona's idea was that you prevent this pass to Fede Valverde or Toni Kroos dropping deep. So Barca had these two center forwards here with Lamine Yamal marking Camavinga. Joao Cancelo over here, he wasn't bombing forward, he was mostly staying behind, so that if one of these forwards with the speed makes it through and the defender can't get there, Cancelo was focused basically on stopping these guys. Frenkie de Jong, you know, he was on Modric. That was his main role. So Christensen and Gundogan, they both also had the role of squeezing this line over here basically. As soon as they win the ball back, pass it over to Rafinha or Lewandowski, get the ball rolling. So when Barcelona attacked, most of their attack, about 55 to 60%, came on this side through Lamine Yamal's side. The idea was to get Lamine Yamal and Camavinga 1v1. Whenever Camavinga was up high and Lamine used to get the ball, he used to make these 1v1 dribbles, and then because of that, when the overload shifted to this side of the pitch to stop Yamal, this is the area he was targeting, and he would dribble past Camavinga and make it in the box. Barcelona were very successful at doing that, and once that would happen, the interesting goal was Lucas Vasquez, you know, in defense. So what he would do was that, you know, when Rafinha would make these runs, or if Cancelo would come forward, you know, it was slightly risky, but Lucas Vasquez wasn't defending the far post. He would tuck in, and so when Lamine Yamal would make it over here and everybody was here, and he'd look for the cutback, Vasquez was the guy who would tuck in and stop Lewandowski or anybody else who would be making the runs. But Barcelona didn't make these runs on the far post. That's one of their weaknesses, and that's probably something they have to improve next season. In one instance, when Vasquez did make the cut, Lewandowski, he was looking for that space around here, and Yamal made it all the way to the touchline. He'd beaten everybody, and then he passed the ball. But the ball didn't get to Lewandowski. If it did, over here, Vasquez would have been caught out. But that didn't happen. The basic idea was that Vasquez wasn't defending the far post because Ancelotti must have seen that Barcelona usually don't target the far post if Lamine has the ball over here. But Lucas Vasquez's role wasn't really about his defending. It was mostly about his attacking ability because he's been a former winger like Joao Cancelo over here. He used to be a winger once upon a time and then became a fullback. That's the same thing with Lucas Vasquez. He used to be a winger once upon a time and now he's a fullback as well. Now what happened in Real Madrid's opening goal was that there was a switch of play from Bellingham all the way to Lucas Vasquez over here. Basically there was an overload on this side of the pitch. And so this guy's like wide open here, Vasquez. What's going on is that he had the ball in this space over here, made this darting run, Joao Cancelo was running, and over here you had Rafinha instead of Frankie de Jong. So what happened was that, and because Real Madrid makes all these runs inside the box, the Barcelona defenders basically are bogged down. And so what happened was that Vasquez got a lot of space 1v1 versus Cancelo. And because of that, he made this run inside, and then, all of a sudden, Pau Kubarsi had to come inside, and he had to extend his leg once Cancelo got beaten. And because of that, it led to a penalty, and Real Madrid got their first goal. The main role was basically about Lucas Vasquez and his 1v1 ability versus Cancelo, who's not really the best defender. Again, in Real Madrid's second goal, it was a 4-4-2 situation again. And we had Lucas Vasquez all the way isolated over here, stretching the pitch. There was a cross this end of the pitch, and Vasquez made a blindside run here, and everybody at Barcelona was here. So nobody was tracking him. Maybe João Felix, who was subbed in at the time, could have tracked Vasquez because, Cancelo, he was marking the run of one of the attackers over here. Vasquez made this blindside run over here. Cancelo didn't spot him until it was too late, and this cross just landed right in Vasquez's feet, and it was a one-touch goal. And same situation in Real Madrid's winner. So what happened was that again, it was although Barcelona had a much more attacking second half. What happened was that Vasquez came in from here, again a 1v1 situation, and before the Barcelona player could close down that situation, he gave this cross over here. It was a sort of an overload on the other side of the pitch at this point. And so Bellingham made this easy blindside run, nobody spotted him, and he got at the end of the cross, and it was a one-touch volley straight into the roof of the net. And that's how Real Madrid won it. So basically the key guy here was Lucas Vasquez, and he was the guy who won Real Madrid the match. It was a controversial game, and one of the controversies is that Barcelona did score a goal. They didn't have the camera angles to detect it, and there was no goal line technology. Because of the footage available at the time, they couldn't make a conclusive decision, and the ball did look like it went in, but it was ruled out because of the parallax effect. And because of that, it was an inconclusive decision. On social media, you got a lot of crowd camera footage, and because of that, there were much more angles available. For the referees at the time, it couldn't happen, and that's why, that goal wasn't given. But it did look like that the curvature of the ball had crossed the line. And so, it should have been an equalizer, and then obviously some of the penalty calls were also controversial as well. But Real Madrid had an XG around 3, Barcelona had an XG about 1.5.